Hello, everyone. I'm Kirsten with Ambler Nutrition, changing to Springhouse Nutrition. It's a bigger location coming soon. If you want to go to my website, it's springhousenutrition.com, or the same thing is amblernutrition.com. Today, we're going to talk about diabetes, the disease of having too much blood sugar in our bloodstream. And I'm going to actually go over a couple of different pages, conversation maps today. So again, I'm Kirsten Puskar. I'm a diabetes educator and I'm a dietitian. So everything will tend to be more about food, but today I really want to talk about diabetes. If you have a question, either wave or shout out, and then I will try and unmute yourself, and then I'll be able to listen to your question. And I'll repeat it so that everybody can hear. Any questions, just wave your hand, unmute yourself, shout out. So the first page that I have is about high blood sugar, because that is what diabetes is all about. If we didn't have high blood sugar, it wouldn't be diabetes. So yay, we got to figure out all these things with high blood sugar. At the very bottom of this thing is the ABCs of diabetes. The A of diabetes is your HbA1c. That's how much sugar is on the proteins of your red blood cell. HbA1c is a protein, and it gets certain sugars on there. And it is basically explained as, so when the red blood cell comes out of our bone marrow, it is like a cornflake. There's no frosting around it. It floats, the red blood cell floats around in our bloodstream for 3 months. That's how long red blood cells last. And after 3 months, there's going to be some sugar stuck to it. It's going to be frosted. If it is frosted at like 5.5% or less, then you don't have diabetes. If your blood cells have 5.7% up to 6.5% frosting on them, like a cornflake versus a frosted flake, this 5.7 to 6.5% frosting is pre-diabetes, which is very serious. And it's a fantastic time to adjust your lifestyle so that you don't end up with a lot of damage from blood sugar and lead to diabetes, whether it's type 1 or type 2. And then after 6.5% frosting, it can go up to 14% frosting. That shows that you have a lot of blood, a lot of sugar in your bloodstream, and it indicates the severity of your high blood sugar. They call high blood sugar hyperglycemia, and they call low blood sugar hypoglycemia. And hypoglycemia is just as dangerous as hyper. Hyper can bust through your little capillaries that feed our nerves, cause nerve damage peripherally in our fingers, in our eyes, in our toes, or internally with our stomach, causing a gastroparesis, heart disease, all different kinds of organ problems. So we want to really keep our blood sugar between 70 and 140 before meals. After meals, 2 hours after, we want to keep it under 180. So A1C tells how much sugar is in your bloodstream. The ABC, so the B is blood pressure. If you have a lot of blood sugar and your pressure on your arteries is high, it can force that big sugar molecule into smaller capillaries, causing more nerve damage. So, and this is especially a problem with kidney disease. So I can't remember what the percentage is, but it's close to 70% of kidney disease is caused by high blood sugar and high blood pressure, because those kidneys are little microscopic filtering systems that are so delicate. And when the blood pressure and the big molecules of both protein and carbohydrates, blood sugar, are forced through those little sifting systems, we can have damage and scarring and kidney disease. So want to keep our blood sugar in a low range between 70 and 140. We want to keep our blood pressure under 140/90. If you have 120/95, that's high blood pressure. If you have 140/60, that's also high blood pressure. So we wanted the 140 and 90. We want those numbers to be lower than you don't have the high blood pressure. The C is for cholesterol. Cholesterol is the blood lipids. Lipids are fats. So cholesterol is actually the base of a lot of our hormones. So we don't want to have no cholesterol. We always want to have a little bit. Talk to your doctor. Some people need to be at 200 or lower. Other people need their cholesterol to be under, 230. Everybody's a little bit different. But your doctor can help you make a decision and whether you should be on a statin or other things to reduce your blood lipids. The main one for diabetes that they're actually thinking about using instead of using the HbA1c is your LDL cholesterol. That's the sticky cholesterol that can be the beginning of plaques and cause strokes and all kinds of terrible things if you have a very high LDL. So LDL cholesterol is healthy in the less than 100 range. So if your LDL cholesterol is 99, if it's 75, if it's even if it's 70, I think it's good. Once you get below that, you want to do things to make sure you're getting enough LDL cholesterol because we do need that for all different kinds of reasons. The HDL cholesterol, we want that to be high as possible. For men, we want it to be 40 and above. For women, we want it to be 50 and above. So HDL cholesterol, this one can absorb the LDL cholesterol, take it to our liver, get it out of our bloodstream so it can be used other ways. HDL cholesterol is very slippery, so it can lubricate all of our, blood system so that if we were to have high blood pressure, the problems can be taken out with the HDL cholesterol. So HDL, again, if you got HDL cholesterol at like 99, woohoo, that's fantastic. But we want it to be at least 40 for men and 50 for women, and the higher the better. I know people whose HDL cholesterol is like 115, 220. I think it's extremely high, but nope, their doctors are very pleased with it. So, talk to your doctor and find out what's right for you. So that's the ABCs of diabetes, the A1C, the blood pressure, and the cholesterol. As we go up here, this says the natural course of diabetes. Now, that little white flag. Now, if you are not able to control your blood sugar, whether you're not seeing your doctor enough to get the medicine that you need, or if you didn't know you have diabetes and you ended up having a lot of blood sugar, often, more than 180, then you will have some complications. Short-term complications of high blood sugar is going to be tiredness, is going to be blurred vision for some people. It could be you're very thirsty or you're very hungry, even though you have high blood pressure, high blood sugar, like after a meal. If it's really high, you're still going to be hungry. You're going to have, of course, going to the bathroom all the time, mood swings, you're going to be uncomfortable. But generally, high blood sugar, people can't notice. And that's what makes diabetes so dangerous. The low blood sugar, most people do notice. This is where you can be shaky, you can have sweats. It might be really cold outside and your skin is cold and you'll be sweating. This is a simple symptom of low blood sugar. Headaches, mood swings. The big one is confusion. I can tell many stories of people who've had low blood sugar. They missed their turn. They're out in a neighborhood. They don't know where they are. They're decorating their house for Christmas, and they're going onto their house and their branch and their trees, and then onto their neighbor's house. They have low blood sugar and they don't know what they're doing. So low blood sugar can be a problem because of the glucose that we need for our brains. Extreme low blood pressure can cause unconsciousness and coma and all kinds of other things like that. So we really want to keep our blood sugar above 70. If it happens, you're in a situation and your blood sugar does drop, you feel weak, you end up passing out, it's very important to have on you glucagon. Glucagon is a hormone that it releases the sugar from our muscles and our liver, and it can increase your blood sugar really fast. And especially if you're unconscious, you're not able to drink, 4 ounces of juice or whatever else to bring up your blood sugar. So again, confusion is a big thing. Of course, you're going to be hungry. Low blood sugar, you want to eat everything in the house. The worst thing with low blood sugar is you're supposed to take 5 or 15 grams of carbs and then wait 15 minutes. And let me tell you, you're so hungry, you cannot look at your watch, see what time it is, and then certainly not see what time it is 15 minutes later. So low blood sugar is very tricky. Try to keep a limited package, like juice boxes that are 4 ounces, or some people use the fruit snacks that are 15 grams of carbs, or there is the glucose tablets. The beauty of those, they're not delicious, so you're not going to snack on them on times when you don't have blood sugar. But low blood sugar, you want to get your blood sugar back, and the fastest way to do that is with 4 ounces of juice. But anything that you want to use is, it's up to you, whatever's convenient for you. I know a woman who used lifesavers, because 2 lifesavers, you chew them, it works out really fast. But she likes lifesavers, and she was snacking on them here and there. And then one time she had low blood sugar, and there was no lifesavers left. So pick something that you know you're not going to snack on. Again, one of those juice boxes, some of these tablets with some water, the glucose tablets. But that is the short-term symptoms of high and low blood sugar. And most people feel low blood sugar. Some people don't. I had another guy, he was rocking around a blood sugar of about 60 or 50. He hadn't passed out, but he was just confused and frustrated and mood swings and that kind of thing. And he didn't know that he didn't have that hunger and shaking and everything. He just had some confusion. And I don't know about you, but there's many times when I've had like a little brain fog and forgot what I'm doing. Not today, though. So again, diabetes, some long-term complications has to do with the capillaries being broken by that high blood sugar molecule. So when that capillaries are broken, then the nerves that they feed don't get the nutrition that they need, and then the nerves die. So of course, heart attack and stroke are a big part of it. Another thing with high blood sugar, because of the big molecule and everything, you don't have good circulation. So heart disease, strokes, kidney disease. Again, I was talking about the fine filtration system of the kidneys with those big molecules of sugar. It just it causes a lot of damage. Eye complications. Our eyeballs are this fantastic complex organ. Our brains are fantastic complex organ. They're connected by one little nerve with one little capillary. So I have a couple of patients who, one of them especially, she loves her grape soda. And she's like, no, it's okay. I only lose my sight for about 20 minutes. I'm like, oh no. So watch out about the high blood sugar with your vision problems. Sexual dysfunction. We're all sexual beings. It's very important to have a good sex life. All the different capillaries and blood vessels that we have in our sex organs, it's really important not to be blocked or ruined by too much high blood sugar. So think about that the next time you wanted to have, I'm going to splurge with my blood sugar a little bit. It's not worth it. Again, I was talking about the nerve damage, foot complications. Again, a lot of nerves in our feet. We walk around on them. I knew somebody who had some numbness or some prickling, and she had took her shoes off at the end of the day and found that there was a tack stuck in her heel for the whole day that she didn't realize. So definitely don't go barefoot, wear your socks and shoes, check your feet every day. When you wash your face, take your shoes off and look at your feet. You might need to use a mirror. If you want to use lotion on dry skin, that's a great idea, but you don't want it between your toes. You just want it on, your heels and the top of your foot. We don't want to have fungus growing and that kind of thing. So foot complications, skin complications, again, with your feet or your skin or your hands or anything, if you get a scratch, it's supposed to heal in a day. So the best way to make it heal is with a little bit of Vaseline or some ointment and a bandage. Even if you think, oh, it'll grow a scab, it'll be fine. They don't heal fast with a scab. It's much faster with a Band-Aid, a bandage and some ointment. So, and especially if you've gotten a cut and you have the ointment and the Band-Aid on and it's been a week and it still has not healed, go see your dermatologist. They have some amazing ointments and they can get that thing healed really quickly. It really has to do with circulation. So if you did hurt yourself, you got an injury or even an illness, the best thing to do is increase your circulation, do some kind of exercise, go for a walk, bundle up, do something that you're not going to hurt yourself further, but whether it's a chair exercise, something where you can exercise, get your heart rate up, that improves circulation and that will improve your healing. That also helps with kidney disease. We're finding a lot of kidney filtration is improved greatly when the person exercises, even 15 minutes a day. So skin complications, foot complications, look at those kind of issues with more exercise. And like I said, if something doesn't heal in a week, go right away to your dermatologist and get it taken care of. Depression and gum disease. So go to your dentist every 6 months or even every 3 months. If you have a toothache, that raises your blood sugar. Whether you eat cake, have an infection, if you twist your ankle, if you're sick and you have a fever, all of those increase our blood sugar. So we want to make sure that we're healthy. And the depression, This has to do with nerve damage. When people have diabetes and they have a little bit of nerve damage, some of the nerves that get damaged are the ones that make serotonin. And serotonin is the happy hormone. So they won't be necessarily sad, like, oh, I have diabetes, I'm sad. No, it's more pulling away from your friends and activities. Unfortunately, during the quarantine, we all have to be separated from our friends and our activities. So try to have a phone call with your friends once a week. If you find yourself not talking to anybody and it's been 2 weeks, just start making some calls, get back in touch with your friends. Just that social interaction increases our serotonin. If it's a really bad case, definitely talk to a psychiatrist who can either do talk therapy or some medications. But don't go for the medications first. Go for a walk in the sunshine, see your neighbors, give your friends a call if you happen to notice that you haven't talked to anybody in about 2 weeks. Sometimes we need a break, but right now we've had breaks for about a year. So I think a little bit of social activity is wonderful. This here says the natural course of diabetes. You start on an oral medication like metformin. You might go on to another medication like a glyburide or something like this, and then you go to insulin. We can reverse this. If you're in prediabetes and your blood sugar is elevated, we have ways, with exercise and better food and enough water, definitely increasing more vegetables, less animal proteins. This can reduce your blood sugar and get you out of the prediabetes section. If you've already gotten diabetes and say you're even all the way onto insulin, there is, again, when we improve our diet to have more vegetables, less animal proteins, we can, reduce the insulin that you take and maybe even get you off insulin. I have seen it happen with some of my patients, but it is it's a big challenge. I will say, don't feel guilty about having diabetes. You really cannot give yourself diabetes. Generally, you get diabetes from genetics, or maybe there was some trauma, an accident, some surgery, maybe an infection, these kind of things to your pancreas. The thing that really hurts your pancreas is when you make it work too hard. So when we have a lot of animal proteins, whether it's chicken or fish or beef or steaks or eggs, all of this takes the pancreas 5 different enzymes to digest it. Where if you're having more plant-based proteins like beans and hummus and some pesto or some peanut butter, nuts, these proteins only need a little bit of insulin to digest. So maybe a little bile from your stomach because they do contain some fat, but nowhere near the fat that the animal proteins and the complex protein of the animal meats have. So think about having a meatless meal a few times a week, whether it's a lunch or a breakfast or a dinner. If you can do breakfast, lunch, and dinner and do that once a week, or if you can do it 3 or 4 times a week, that is really going to give your pancreas a break, and you are going to not have to go on to the insulin and all of these things. There's a couple of key medicines now that they're doing. Yes, you start off with metformin, but then you go to a GLP-1 and you go to the flaxen medicines. These medicines have your kidneys filter out more sugar so you don't reabsorb them. They can lead to a UTI in bad situations, but basically if you're drinking enough water and you're on the flaxen medicines, that can bring your sugar down greatly, especially with metformin. And then if that doesn't work as well as they want within 3 months, they can also put you on a GLP-1. And that combination of medicines should get your blood sugar between 70 and 140, and you should live a great life. And again, during that time, having more plant-based proteins and lots of vegetables that can help heal your pancreas. And I've seen people reverse their diabetes. So it really depends on how much damage you've already done and how much you want to change your lifestyle. But we can always have beef and chicken and pork, but if we add, the tofu, the seitan, the Impossible Burger, the Beyond Meat sausages, Field Roast now has some amazing sour cream and cream cheese. They have some great cheeses. And of course they have the sausages that they've always had, but there's so much more variety when you open up your diet to having some of the plant-based proteins as well. So let's see. Insulin. So insulin is a hormone and it comes from your pancreas. When you have sugar in your bloodstream, the sugar needs to get out of your bloodstream and into your cells. But the sugar molecule is so big that it can't go through by osmosis like oxygen or magnesium or calcium or iron can. So there's these receptors on the cells that accept insulin. They're called insulin receptors, and they're basically doors. And when you have sugar in your bloodstream, the pancreas gives some insulin. The insulin goes to the insulin receptors, opens those doors on your muscle cells, and lets the sugar in, and it reduces the blood sugar in your bloodstream. So some insulin is from our pancreas, and some insulin is from a syringe or a pen. So it's basically the same kind of thing. So when somebody talks about insulin, that's the key that gets the blood sugar out of the bloodstream and into the cells. Then the cells are strong and happy, and the bloodstream can do what it needs to do. Let's see, go for your goal. There's resources, again, diabetes class, yay. There's a lot of diabetes educators out there. I'm one of them. Check with your insurance. Many of them are nurses, pharmacists, or dietitians, and they can help you manage your blood sugar. Also, of course, seeing your regular doctor, endocrinologist, and then your support network and your healthcare team. These are people that help you, whether you're in the diabetes class and you're talking with all of us. We're hoping that in April, we're going to have a tent and that we can meet back face to face. I think it's 15 people out in the tent, or 10 people if we go in the Harris room or whatever room that is. So the healthcare team can be, again, your support class, or it can be your healthcare workers. So it would be, of course, your doctor, your endocrinologist, if you have one, your eye doctor, your dentist, your skin doctor, your foot doctor. If you have a heart doctor or, a kidney doctor, all of these doctors will work together. And now most medical charts are synchronized so that the foot doctor can see what the endocrinologist can see, what the dentist is doing, and we can be all on the same page. Every office visit, you want them to review your medicines, take a look at your feet. If you have any questions, please write them down. I don't know about you, but when I get into the doctor, usually I have to wait a while, and then I get there and I forget what I need to ask. So write them down, and they can see your questions and also check you out. So every 3 to 6 months, you should see your dentist, and once a year would be your regular doctor and your eye doctor. If you're having a skin issue, if you're having a kidney issue, if you're having, if you have an issue, definitely see your doctor as soon as possible. And a lot of doctors are doing telehealth, so you don't even have to leave your house, turn on your computer, even a phone call. They can do a lot with that. So that's the first page I have. Over here it says healthy eating, but we can talk about that next week. The first week I talk about diabetes and medicines and how to lower our blood sugar, and then the second week I talk about the food. Is there any questions so far? Okay, let's take this down. Here we go. So this is the journey to our journey on diabetes. Here we go. And you can see a little bit of my diplomas there. Okay, so this is a pathway of our diabetes, and it's just a general course to cover all the topics, basically. At the beginning, there's a guy in a car, and it says, you are in the driver's seat. Nobody has diabetes the same. It would be great if everyone had diabetes the same. You just do the same thing. That's easy for the doctors. It's easy for everybody, whether you have type 1 or type 2, gestational diabetes, pre-diabetes, everybody has it differently. So the big thing is making sure your sugar when you wake up, before meals is between 70 and 140. That's the goal. And definition of diabetes, like I said, your blood sugar is over 140 before meals. It's over, 180 after meals. You can have an A1C above 6.5. Pre-diabetes is above 5.7. And basically, the body doesn't have enough insulin to open up the cells and get the sugar out of the bloodstream and into the cells. There's many myths about diabetes, like I caused it by eating too much sugar, and that is just not the case. If anything, you can cause it by eating only meat. There's one group of people who can tolerate that. The Inuit Eskimos way up on the North and South Pole, or wherever they can be, though that is a very harsh environment and they need that many calories, and they can survive that way. But genetically, the rest of the world, we need the vegetables. We need to have the nutrients, the fiber. It really helps our gut biome. The gut biome balances our hormones. It gives us more nutrition. It's 70% of our immune system. So having only meat, we don't get enough vegetables because it fills us up with all the fats and the proteins and everything. But the fat and the protein cannot sustain us. We need to have the carbohydrates. That is the vegetables and the fruits and the grains. And that is where all the nutrients are, the calcium, the vitamin A, the magnesium is used in over 100 different, this is all nutrition again. But anyway, so you can't cause diabetes by eating too much sugar. What are some other ones? Insulin causes diabetes or can make things worse. Of course, that is the opposite. But insulin can be toxic. The way that our pancreas works is it checks how much insulin is in our system. And if there's a lot of insulin in our system, it won't make any more insulin. So if you want your pancreas to be healthy, we don't want you to be pumping insulin all the time, every minute. Oh, my blood sugar is a little high, a little bit more insulin, a little bit more insulin. We want to reduce the sugar in our blood by, diet, water, exercise, and so that we don't have to take so much insulin. Because like I said, I have some people who are on, 40 units with a meal and they're not having many carbs. These people have basically burned, they're basically on the verge of being type 1. Some facts about diabetes is type 1 is the autoimmune disease that eats the cells that create insulin, the B cells. So there's many different complex things. Basically 10% of the people who have diabetes have type 1. It's very small. Most of them are even Scandinavian, which is my background. So I do not have type 1 diabetes, but a bunch of my friends and their kids do. So it's very interesting that way. But yeah, type 1 is where you have no insulin and you need to take insulin before a meal. And so that your body, there's just no way to get away from it. There is a very low carbohydrate diet where you're getting most of your energy from fat. It's like a ketone diet, and ketosis and diabetic ketoacidosis are very close to each other. So I don't recommend the ketone diet. And like I said, I have a few friends who were on it. After about a year, they gave up. It's just too separate. They're so isolated from their friends and family. So type 1, you have to have insulin. Type 2, your pancreas does give some insulin, but just not enough. Gestational diabetes is where the placenta causes an interruption in the insulin. So the people who have gestational diabetes, once they have the baby and they give out the placenta, they're fine. Pre-diabetes is just the beginning, where you just have some frosting on your red blood cells. A1C is between 5.7 and 6.5. And then there's also a lot of adult onset, late in adult onset diabetes. And this is where you may not have diabetes until you're like in your 30s or 40s. Generally, a lot of people get diabetes once they're in their 70s and 80s. Your pancreas is just burned out. So thinking about having more plant-based proteins during your lifetime can really help. Some facts. Here is a bunch of suitcases. This is called luggage. A lot of baggage with diabetes. They talk about fear. Yes, it is going to be a change, but I got to say, this is like the best time to have diabetes. We know so much about diet, so much about exercise, and we have great medicines. There's 8 different classes. It's not just insulin anymore. Sadness, your life is going to be different. You're going to have to say goodbye to your old life. You're going to make some changes, and you're going to live a very vibrant new life. You're going to have to pay attention to more things like, how many carbohydrates are in food and how much exercise you've had, how much water you have. You have to take care of yourself. Oh, that's sad. So anger, don't be mad at yourself. Things happen to everybody, whether it's a car crash, you become allergic to peanuts or something. It just happens that diabetes is the thing that happened to you. Frustration, yes, this can happen for everybody, but you need to feel these feelings. I like the hope and the strength. Those are really good feelings. And the fact that you come to us and we talk about diabetes every week, I hope I'm giving you some hope, because like I said, it's a great time to have diabetes. We know so many different ways to manage it. back, I think diabetes, they have been documented maybe 4,000 years ago, and it was called the Flushing disease. People would just die before they were a few years old if they had type 1 and they were babies. Now, people are living into their 80s and 90s with diabetes. I had a woman, she was 93. So, it really means taking care of your blood sugar and that kind of thing. Back in the 20s or 40s, 20s, I think they discovered insulin. And then in the 40s, it became a regular thing. And it was given out of glass syringes that you had to sterilize. It was a lot of work. And people who were not on insulin, they said they could balance their blood sugar with being on an exercise bike for 11 hours a day. So thank goodness it is 2001 and we don't have to be on an exercise bike for 11 hours a day or use those glass syringes. Now with the pens, it's just so easy. As we come, again, feel the feelings, know that you have this, just like with a death, you go through the different stages of your feelings, the same thing with diabetes. It's a new thing. And like I said, have hope, be with people who can give you strength and positivity. That's a very important thing. This thing here, it looks like a library, and the center of it says blood sugar. We have insulin and intestines and blood glucose and body fat and kidneys and brain and muscle and B cells and pancreas and liver. So this is all your body. This is all your body parts, and then the center of it is the blood sugar. And it shows that we get blood sugar from a variety of different things, not just our food. For example, in our muscle and our liver, that when we are not exercising or we are sleeping, our liver and our muscles can give us sugar. It holds it from when we eat. And our B cells, they're the cells in our pancreas that make insulin, and insulin, again, lets the sugar out of the bloodstream and into the cells. The intestines have a GLP-1 hormone in them that they give that makes the insulin lasts longer. If your insulin from your pancreas really only lasts a few seconds, that GLP-1 makes it last longer, and so does DPP-4, and both of those are in your stomach and your intestines. Your kidneys, again, when we eat a lot of sugar and we have high blood sugar, your kidneys filter it out, and you go to the bathroom, you urinate it out, pee it out. Drinking lots of water when you have food that has a lot of carbohydrates in it, that's a great way to reduce your blood sugar. And our brain, again, with artificial sweeteners, we're expecting some sweet things. The pancreas is ready. There's no sugar. It kind of messes things up. And there's been many studies now that have shown that people who have artificial sweetener in their diet are the ones who are gaining weight. The people who are having sugar and honey and, sweetening things with fruit and that kind of thing, they are not having weight gain. So, and I know weight gain causes inflammation. Inflammation just makes your diabetes worse. So anybody who's overweight, it's best to, reduce our weight. So that's our body with our blood sugar. The next thing coming around here is many ways that we can get blood sugar. Of course, by our food. If we're going to eat cake or we're going to eat potatoes or we're going to eat rice, we really want just like a half a cup. We don't have to have none. That will also stress your body. You need to have some carbohydrates for energy. Then we have illness. Like I said, if you have a tooth infection, if you have a body infection, you have the flu, hopefully you will not have COVID. But that is a stress on your body. Body raises the blood sugar. Activity. So if you are to go for a hike and test your blood sugar 5 minutes into it, you will check your blood sugar is going to be increased. It's kind of worrisome, but that is the sugar coming out of your muscles and your liver to give you the energy to do the exercise. After about 15 minutes, your blood sugar should go back down to a normal range. So if you're about to go on a hike or go to the gym, start to work out at home or do some, shovel some ice or some snow away. Check your blood sugar before. Make sure that you are above 100, 120, because you don't want to drop below 70 while you're doing that. You could have some confusion and you're just uncomfortable. And, once you've had low blood sugar, you really can't come back. The day is pretty much ruined. You just feel bad. So, be prepared if you're going on a hike or you're going to do some activity. Stress. I knew a guy who was a pastor for 2 churches. Talk about stress. He loved it. He just thrived. There's good stress and there's bad stress. So we want to reduce the bad stress. And if you're going to be active with your friends on the phone or going for hikes or whatever it is, that's a good stress. And we want to have that positivity. We want to reduce the negativity. And if you do have a negative stress that you're not going to be able to resolve, then we have to find ways that we can release that stress. And that can be whatever you like to do. Some people like meditation. Some people like to watch movies or TV and escape. Other people like to exercise, go for a walk. There's many different ways that we can reduce that bad stress. Alcohol. The mixed, margaritas, rum and Coke, whatever, those mixers do have carbohydrates in it, but the alcohol doesn't. It's a toxin. And we have this hormone called alcohol dehydrogenase that can break that toxin down. Men have three times the amount that women have. So if you're going to have some alcohol, definitely have it with some food, drink with water every other drink. That reduces the toxin effect. And if you're going to be on an empty stomach and have a couple of shots of vodka, like my family, you will have a lot of stress on your body, and that will raise your blood sugar. And once that toxin is in there, the body can't even digest food or drink water. It's just concentrating, on getting rid of that toxin. And if you're a woman like me, you only have a third of what men have, and it's very hard to get over a couple of shots of vodka. So think about that. So if you're going to go to a party, have a meal before, or if you're going to step in and somebody's going to hand you a champagne, see if there's some cheese and crackers, something with, protein and fat and fiber, like grapes and carbohydrates in the crackers or fat in the cheese that can block the toxin of the alcohol from getting into your bloodstream. So think about the alcohol. And then there's medications like steroids and things that absolutely raise our blood sugar. I think there's some cold medicines that do it. Just watch out. If you're doing everything right and you're on a medication and your blood sugar is just not coming down, some anxiety medicines have this too. Talk to your doctor and see if you can get on a different medicine that can help you not have that blood sugar spike all the time with the medicines. I would prefer you adjust the medicine that's causing your high blood sugar as opposed to just taking more insulin or taking more glyceride or whatever you're going to be taking. So there's many ways that our blood sugar can go up. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, good. So we're coming around the bend here. Here they're on the bus, and there's blood sugar, like we talked about, can go up and blood sugar can go down. All the different side effects of it, like you could have high blood sugar and you're still hungry. It's a weird one, but you're going to be going to the bathroom a lot. You have high blood sugar. Other than testing it, you can be thirsty. Low blood sugar, again, confusion, shakiness, hunger, sweats, very uncomfortable. Some people don't feel either of these. So just, it's a good idea to see what you've been eating, see what your activity level is. And if you haven't been eating much and your activity level is going to be high, your blood sugar could go down. So if you're going to go on a bus ride, make sure you have snacks with you. If you have high blood sugar and you're about to watch a movie, walk around the theater a couple times, have some water, and get your blood sugar down before you sit there for 3 hours and not doing anything where your blood sugar could go even higher. Again, beware of complications like we talked about. The big thing with diabetes, besides kidney disease, is the heart attacks and the strokes. Poor circulation, it's, plaques from high LDL cholesterol, it's, just blockages and weak hearts, and we just really want to stay as healthy as we can be. The best diabetes diet is the most nutritious one. And the same thing, the best lifestyle for diabetes is the most active one. So we are born to be active. We are not born to sit in front of a computer screen, as you guys all can imagine. Now, what affects your blood sugar? Some people don't have much of an effect when they go for a hike, but they know that if they go to a spin class, then they have an effect. Other people are affected by the littlest thing. I have to go to the grocery store, I'm going to have a snack. I'm going to go pick my kids up from school, I have to have a snack. There's everyone is a little bit different. So know where you are. If you exercise regularly, you might be able to go to the gym at 120. Your blood sugar is 120, and you'll be fine. You come out of there at 100 and you're good. Some people who don't exercise, they're trying it for going to try this new exercise or something. They may need to go in at like 160, their blood sugar. And during that time, it could break it down all the way down to 100. So think about how much you normally exercise. This can be more or less. If it's going to be more exercise than you're used to, you're going to have to start out with a higher blood sugar. Sorry about that. And then What else do we have here? Yeah, he's checking his blood sugar before he goes on a trip. This is a farmer's market, and they talk about what you eat. Again, we want to have a balance of the 4 food groups. Can't really see that, but 4 food groups. You want to have the carbohydrates and the fiber. Those are the vegetables and the fruits. My finger's coming down, and the fats and the proteins. That can come from chicken, that can come from nuts. Both of them have proteins and fats in them. So the proteins and the fats and the carbohydrates and the fibers, that's what you want to have at every meal. So if you're going to have some fruit, have some nuts with it. If you're going to have some pretzels, that's only a carb. So you're going to need to have some maybe some grapes or some peanut butter or just some nuts. Nuts have good fiber in them. Nuts with the pretzels, that could be a good combination. But it's best to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if you have to have a snack in between, hopefully it's because you have to do some kind of activity. But if you're just doing your regular day and you don't have a lot of activity and you still need a snack, you should have had a bigger breakfast. Same thing within the afternoon. If you need a snack at 3 or 4 o'clock, you should have had a bigger lunch. You can have a big breakfast and a big lunch. That's when our bodies are best at digesting. We can get the most nutrients out of our food. We can digest the most protein, the most carbohydrates, the most fiber. By the end of the day, we're only really good for like some vegetables. Our digestion is not that great. There's a lot of people who have acid reflux. That's where they skipped breakfast, had a little snack for lunch, and then had this big meal, sat down, watched the news, and then they went to bed. Their stomach just cannot digest like as well as they can do it in the breakfast and lunch. So what you eat, when you eat, and again, how much you eat. The best thing is to have a big breakfast, a big lunch, and a small dinner, and no snacks. Having a snack, it takes about 2 hours for our blood sugar to go down. So if we have something at breakfast at say 8 o'clock, and then 10 o'clock we need a snack, and then 12 o'clock we have lunch, and then 2 o'clock we have a snack, and then we're going to get ready for dinner. We're eating a little bit, and then 6 o'clock we have dinner. Every 2 hours, your blood sugar is up. When was it ever down? So the goal is to have your blood sugar between 70 and 140 before you eat. And we really wanted to get it down below, 180 between meals. And that takes some time. So try to have enough for breakfast and lunch. The other thing is desserts. In my family and a bunch of my friends, just my lifestyle has always been, you have your big Thanksgiving dinner, and then an hour or two later, you have your dessert. Go for a walk or whatever. That is hard on your pancreas. It's better if you have your dessert right after dinner. So if you're in a restaurant, for example, and you're going for a meal for like an hour, hour and a half, and you want to have dessert, don't leave that restaurant and then an hour later go have dessert. That just keeps our blood sugar above 200 after, 2 hours after that dessert. It just extends the whole time that we've had that high blood sugar. It's better if you can not have the bread in the beginning, or not have so much of the rice or the potatoes during the meal. And then right after the meal, it takes a half an hour for them to make the dessert, and then have that dessert, within an hour of having dinner. That's a much better situation. You're going to go for ice cream and it's right next to the restaurant, then try to get it within an hour of having your dinner. Again, and watch out for fats. It's really weird. Eat something that's greasy. Maybe it's pizza. Maybe it's fried chicken. Maybe it's a pesto with some oil. Maybe it's a really creamy dessert that has a lot of fat in it. The oil goes into our bloodstream, and the first place it goes, insulin receptors. So it blocks the insulin it can be up to 3 hours after you've had food. So if you're on insulin, you don't take insulin until hours after your blood starts going, you've eaten. If you know that's going to be a greasy food. And if you are not on insulin, you're going to have to drink a lot of water and be active so that you can burn that sugar out of your bloodstream without using insulin. That's how some people are using this ketogenic diet to, well, not so much that. It's more when you are fight or flight and use your energy really quickly, there are other ways the cells can open up and let the sugar out of your bloodstream. So watch out for the greasy foods. We really only need 2 or 3 tablespoons a day of oil. So that's like less than a quarter cup of nuts. That's about a tablespoon. When you're sauteing, just use a teaspoon. Try to use very little oil. Again, avocados, like a quarter of them. Just watch out for the fats, because fat-free diet doesn't work, but also an overloaded amount of fat 3 tablespoons is all you need. Unless you're somebody who's over 250 pounds, you may need more, like 4 tablespoons. But again, it's for our joints, for our nails, for our hair, for our skin, for our brains. And we don't need that much. So think about the fats, because they can really add up in calories. They can really block our insulin receptors and keep our blood sugar up. So I've talked a lot about food. We're going to talk about food next week. What you eat, how much you eat, when you eat. Again, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Try not to eat in the evening. That's the worst time. If you want to gain weight, have lots of protein and have it late at night, and have lots of food in the evening. If you want to lose weight, the opposite. Most of your food is going to be for breakfast and lunch, and have a really light dinner. Taking medicines. There are so many different medicines. If you're having any kind of side effects, talk to your doctor. He can put you on another medicine. A lot of times we just look at the ones that we know are covered by insurance. They can write letters to your insurance and get you a different medicine if this one isn't working. There's many different things. But when you see your doctor, within 3 months, you want to get your blood sugar under control. And if it's not, talk to your doctor within a couple of weeks and say, hey, some of the medicines do have a 3-month warm-up period. Like some of these GLP ones, you can't go on a full dose right away. So that might take a little bit longer. We do have about 10 more minutes. Let's see. So diabetes medicine, again, if your medicine isn't working, talk to your doctor, talk to a dietitian. Ambler Nutrition, I'd love to help you. I wish I could do more personal things during these classes, but it's really just community general education. But I'm here for you. Kirsten Puskar. It's the worst thing to spell. So like I said, Springhouse Nutrition, amblernutrition.com. You can see my website. And let's see, what else do we have? Remember to keep healthy, keep active, keep positive. Don't be around a bunch of negative Nellies. Having diabetes is not the end of the world. Matter of fact, it's like a gateway into a healthier life. So look at it as a positive thing. And way to go for people who are giving you a cheering. You can hardly see this, but there's people here on the side cheering you on. You're in your car, you're going for your goal. Like I said, you're in the driver's seat with diabetes. Everybody is different. And I think I have covered everything that we need to cover. One thing is, if you are on insulin, with Medicare and commercial insurance, you can get onto a CGM. Medicare covers Dexcom, and the commercial insurance, some cover Dexcom and some cover Freestyle Libre. They're both great because you can check your blood sugar anytime. The only thing with the Freestyle Libre, you have a little sensor on your arm. Dexcom can be on your arm too. You have to hold the sensor up to the Freestyle Libre sensor when you have Freestyle Libre. Dexcom, you just have to be within like 10 feet of it. So it can be on the table and you can walk around the room. But a CGM really helps you see where in your day your blood sugar goes up, because often it's not with the foods. It's with different things of your day. So if you can go on to it as a sample and just be on it for a couple of weeks, you can learn a lot in those couple of weeks and help get your blood sugar back down. I have some news articles from my email. I get like 3 a day. It's a lot. So I thought I would share them with you. Today, I'm going to share the non-food related things. Okay. Okay, so they're talking about vitamin D supplements cut the risk for type 2 diabetes progression. A study in diabetes care revealed that individuals with prediabetes but without obesity who took vitamin D supplements had a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes from prediabetes compared to those who took a placebo. The findings, based on data from almost 5,000 people, also showed that vitamin D supplements significantly increased the reversion rate of prediabetes to normal blood glucose. So make sure when you go to your doctors and you have your blood test, have them test your vitamin D. The doctor can request it so that your insurance doesn't make you pay. And I believe you want it to be above 20, but don't quote me on that. You want to have a solid vitamin D case, because that helps reduce you going into worst case diabetes. Appetite is tied to gut microbiome in older adults. So a study in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle Cachexia is when you are like starving to death. Sarcopenia is when you don't have any muscles left. And muscle, so you need muscle. Muscle is a fountain of youth, people. We got to have enough protein and vegetables to make a lot of protein, a lot of muscles. So a study in that magazine found that older adults with poor appetite tend to have lower species richness and diversity in their gut biome. So in our stomach and our intestines, we have bacteria, and we want to have a lot of variety. And people who don't have much variety, they are found to have this cachexia, sarcopenia stuff, especially in a lower count of Lacnospira. That is one of the gut biome bugs, compared to with a good appetite. So people who have a poor appetite don't have a diverse gut biome. People who have a good appetite, they have a lot of different varieties of bugs in their gut. An all-female subgroup analysis also revealed that poor appetite was tied to decreased muscle strength among older adults. So of course, when you're not eating as much, you're not making as much muscle. You can make muscle on a 100% carbohydrate diet because there is amino acids in vegetables, but it's easier to do it with either beans and nuts, or it's easier to do it with chicken and fish and beef. But having whatever that protein is and twice as much vegetables, that is what can really make the muscle. Reversing prediabetes may be possible with intensive lifestyle changes. This Dr. Sam Dagogo Jack of University of Tennessee Health Science Center shared data from an initial trial showing that intensive lifestyle changes supported prediabetes remission and lowered a person's risk for developing type 2 diabetes. The study included about 150 people, African American and European American, with prediabetes who had a genetic history of type 2 diabetes. The program included 6 inclusive lifestyle modifications over the course of 5 years. So they did calorie restrictions. They just had the calories that they needed. They ate 1,200 to 1,500 calories a day. They had, and these people are like 120, 150 pounds. They weren't obese. 3 hours of physical activity per week. So it's like a half an hour a day. They chose brisk walk. Most of them did a brisk walk. The personal weight loss of 10% or more. So if they were overweight, they would lose 10%. Increased face-to-face visits with healthcare professional, monthly sessions for the first 6 months, followed by quarterly visits for the rest of the time. A healthcare professional could be a doctor, could be a dietitian, could be a nurse, could be anybody. Meal replacement, they used 2 shakes and 2 protein bars for 2 meals per day for the participants who had to lose weight. So it's not everybody, just the ones who had to lose weight. They were very intense on how they lost weight. And they did it for about 6 months. Another way, if you didn't want to use a protein shake and a protein bar, which I highly do not recommend. If you're going to use those, you got to add berries to it. You got to add a salad to it. You got to get the protein, the phytonutrients in there. A bowl of vegetables with a protein shake with some berries in it. That's an option besides having these processed protein bars. I'm not a fan. Again, the more processed foods we have, the harder it is on the bacteria in our gut biome. So I would recommend you having a variety of vegetables and grains. And just the vegetables have very little calories. You can get them frozen now, microwave them, put them in soups. You know, it's pretty easy to get more vegetables in your diet. I know nobody thinks that it's easy, but it's affordable. And then they also increase their self-monitoring through a logging of the calories, their foods. They logged their physical activity, they logged their water, and then they were logging their blood sugar too. So they knew what was going on. They were looking for patterns and they were working out. So they said these lifestyle interventions were linked to a positive result. Only 6% of the participants were diagnosed with type 2 diabetes after 10 years. So out of 150 people following 10 years, only 6 of them got diabetes. 94 of them did not, and they had diabetes in their family, or they were pre-diabetic. Well, there goes that one. Let's take that off of there. There's my china cabinet. And let's see. And they also 43% achieved pre-diabetes remission. So they not only got out of type 2 diabetes, they got out of pre-diabetes. That was 40% of them. Based on the data, Dr. Dagogo Jack argued that type 2 diabetes prevention and pre-diabetes reversal are achievable with very strict lifestyle modification, and both should be primary goals in diabetes care. Though not everyone may be able to commit to such intensive lifestyle changes, these results are significant, and each person's diabetes journey is different. That's very important. Making small steps toward achievable goals is a great place to start. When I work with my people, my clients, I work on ideas that we're going to make one change every month or every 2 weeks, and that one change is going to become a habit. So you're going to figure out how you always do exercise in the morning, or always do exercise at night, or you're always going to have a vegetable with your breakfast and your lunch and your dinner, whether the vegetable is berries. Berries I count as a vegetable. And I think that is all the time that we have today. It's like 12:59. What a great day. You got to go through my 2 pages, some of the studies. If you have any questions, you can submit them to me at amblernutrition.com or springhousenutrition.com. You'll see there's a comments page on there, or a contact page. My phone number is 215-527-4193. Again, I'm Kirsten Puskar. I'm a diabetes educator and a dietitian, and I love to talk about food. I've got lots of recipes, and I will see you next week, again, 12 to 1, and it's going to be about food. So thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great day. Enjoy the warm weather today. It's going to be like 50 degrees. I'm looking forward to it. Spring is coming. Yay! So have a great day, and thank you for joining me. Take care.